Welcome aboard USS Cod. I'm Cod President Paul Ferrace, and today we are running silent. Doo, doo, doo.
What? I can't hear you.
I said we're running silent! Anyway, it is well known that a fleet submarine, or any conventional diesel-electric submarine submerged, running slow on its battery, is the scariest thing for any submarine force commander, because moving slow, an electric boat on its battery is incredibly quiet. But if you're moving faster than, say, 3-4 knots, it can make noise. And in fact, our auxiliary systems, like the trim and drain pump and the compressors, well, you're not running the compressors or the blowers when you're submerged, but the auxiliary equipment, was built to be efficient, not quite quiet. That was not a factor until the war, and then of course we had a crash program to try to silence the boat. But we're going to talk about running silent, and that's something I think Hollywood does a pretty good job, although there's some crazy stuff. There's a lot of mythology that we'd like to clear up. When you're in a battle situation and you cannot run away, and then believe me, the best torpedo as attack is a run and gun, shoot fish, get the hell out of Dodge. But that wasn't always possible, particularly if you had a number of enemy escorts nearby. So you would fire your fish, and God help you, because very often you're firing steam fish and they're leaving a bubble trail, which is going to reveal your position of the boat when you fired. So you're going to make a 10-15 minute high-speed run on your battery to clear the firing position. Of course, we're talking underwater, just so you're not right at the end of where those white bubble trails stop. And then you're going to slow down to your quiet speed, which is roughly 2-3 knots, enough to give you headway, because your boat may not be perfectly trimmed, and the certain aspects of the water around you, you might have a gradient, the water might be less dense, and now you're sinking. You want to maintain control. So 2-3 knots is going to give you somewhat of control on your bow and stern planes and your rudder, although you can sit still. Very often Hollywood will show a submarine bottoming on the bottom and waiting. Well, that may have been done on a rare occasion, but remember, very often your attacks are in very deep water, far below a submarine's crush depth, so that's not an option. Of course, finding a thermocline, again, this is something we'll talk about on a later episode. Finding a thermocline to hide under, because there's layers of water, hotter or colder than the surface layer. That boundary interface between the layers of water that might be 4, 5, 6, 7 degrees warmer or colder, that boundary layer will reflect surface ship sonar and keep your self-generated noise in that layer. So that's one of the ways we'll evade when we're running quiet. But of course, you don't want to have a whole lot of noise getting out of this hull into the water. Now, of course, today modern submarines have taken this to the nth degree. And we're not going to talk about that because, number one, I don't know much about that. It's secret. And you sub-vets in there, certainly you're welcome to comment, join the conversation, and laugh when the naval investigative guys knock on your door to arrest you for spying and giving up secrets. But anyway, back in World War II, it was a simpler time. So running quiet, it's going to basically come in 2 steps. Quiet operation, where you're going to turn fans off. If Ski is washing his skivvies in the washing machine, yeah, you're definitely going to turn those off and let those soak in Clorox. Talk about privations of wartime. You're going to turn off the ice cream maker. You're going to take all those things down. Of course, you're not going to be running ship's ventilation system. You're not going to be running the air conditioning, both from the standpoint of depleting the battery and certainly making noise.
I can't get You're supposed to get the drawers secured.
They're secure. You ain't getting these back. Oh, there we go. Don't do this, or else they'll hear us. Ow. So you're going to want to make the boat as quiet as possible. So heaters and fans and air conditioning all get shut down. The crew is going to be ordered to be as quiet as possible. Again, World War II. And I think that's more of a psychological thing, just to keep you focused on not dropping a box of wrenches on a metal deck, which, by the way, very often in the engine rooms and similar spaces, the diamond plate would be covered with matting, as we have done. Of course, the ship's deck is linoleum, and that certainly has a nice padding and sound attenuating capacity all by itself. Then, of course, there's rigged for ultra quiet, and at ultra quiet, everything that isn't necessary for the operation, survival of the boat is shut down, and that's when guys like me would have a sock stuffed in their mouth, because there's just no keeping me quiet. So yes, you're not going to be moving very fast, if at all. You're going to want to shut down every system that makes any possible noise, and hopefully they don't have a crackerjack sonar operator. Now, the other half of the coin is evasion. Yeah, you can play dead. But one of the things about sitting on the bottom is, if you're on the bottom, that means the water probably isn't any more than 300 feet deep. And, given the topography, the seabed and whatever, aircraft might be able to see you. Perhaps not down to 300 feet, but you never know. So you're going to want to evade, which is to get away from whoever's pinging. And I have our trusty high definition fleet sub model and cake topper, but that's another issue. So here we are at the navigator station, and this is Cod, and we're underwater. Okay, now I need a surface ship, so I'm going to take the battery thing off. This is the nasty enemy destroyer that's pinging. So we're submerged, he's up here. If he's pinging from this direction, we're going to be moving very slowly. The captain is going to elect to turn so that we provide a small target 27 feet from the sonar source instead of a 312 foot. Okay? Now, if you have multiple guys pinging, so there's one of our, that's a Yakakuzi destroyer. Here's a Nakamichi destroyer, and this is going to be a Yashica or a Canon or a Nikon destroyer, and we're in the middle. Now, if he's pinging, I'm turning that aspect of my boat and slowly getting away. But he's going to ping, and these other ones are going to drop. So if suddenly he shifts to pinging, well, then I'm going to do this or this, okay, until I get away or far away. And if he starts pinging, then I got to do this. So this is a lot of maneuvering, and we're going to probably be doing it in manual to be quiet. And manual operation of the helm is not fun. That's where you need 3 guys to turn the wheel. One guy is going to be pooped after 15 cranks. And by the way, 10 cranks gives you 1 degree of rudder deflection. So you're doing some impressive rudder angles here. So yeah, there's going to be guys bathed in sweat just turning the damn helm. So anyway, that's evasion. And of course, sound, thermocline, looking for that to keep their sonar and your sound separate. And then the third thing is we do have some tricks up our sleeve, which I'm going to talk about just very briefly here, because that's worthy of its own topic. we, from the after torpedo room, can fire a false target designator. Today we call them countermeasures, and it could be something as simple as a big slug of Alka-Seltzer that creates a giant cloud of bubbles. That giant cloud of bubbles will act somewhat as a smoke screen would in the air on the surface, so that his sonar diffuses in those bubbles and won't bounce off your hull. And the very fact that the chemical reaction of the solid chemical pill in the water with the seawater in the canister creates a fizzing noise that can mimic the low speed hum of your reduction gear. So that was an added benefit. So being quiet, providing a small aspect as possible to whoever's pinging, the characteristics of the seawater, all are important. And then if all else fails, you have your final trick up your sleeve of the countermeasures or false targets. But Evan's got some great stills of our compartment bill holders, which give you a checklist and a reminder of what to do. Yeah, so that's running quiet. Of course, the emergency lights will come on, and again, I think that's done for two reasons. Number one, in case there's a depth charge explosion that might knock out your electrical bus, you've got your emergency lights already on. And also, I think it's a visual reminder to the crew to be quiet, put a sock in it. Now, this is World War II. And after the war, submarining gets a whole lot more involved in technical. And I know modern submarines with modern anti-submarine sonar detection, hydrophones. You know, we have isolated equipment rafts inside the hull so they don't transmit any mechanical vibrations through the hull. Yet none of that was an issue in World War II. Although we did discover during the war that yes, our submarines, like everybody else's submarines, were incredibly loud. So that's why we had to really shut everything down and move as slowly as possible. Anyway, if you have any questions or any comments, remember we have our comment board. Please chime in. And I'm going to put this back. I'm going to clean it off because we might have to spray this gold and put this on a cake sometime soon. But anyway, thanks for joining us. See you next week.